Okay, so this is a really interesting question here. Write the ratio of 7.5 to 2.5 in the form n to 1. What that means is we've got to find out what the left number is going to be if the right number is a 1. Now, we don't like decimals in ratio, I'll tell you that straight up. But sometimes we've got to deal with them when it's this form. To start with, 7.5 to 2.5, I just don't like that. Let's try and get those to much nicer numbers. So there's a few options here. If you want, we could just times both numbers by 10. 75 to 25. Then we can scale it down from there. What I'm going to do actually is just times both numbers by 2, because I know that when we times both these by 2, they become whole numbers, or integers. And we like that. So 7.5 times 2 is 15. 2.5 times 2 is 5. Now, this is a much nicer setup for us. So we want this number to be a 1. So what do we have to do to 5 to make it 1? Well, divide by 5. So we're going to divide both sides by 5, therefore creating a ratio of 3 to 1. So we know that n is 3. Now let's talk about doing one where the answer is not going to be so nice, where it's not going to be a whole number necessarily. Let's try 12 to 30 in the ratio 1 to n. So switching it up here, it's now the left-hand number that's going to be 12, it's going to be 1, and we're going to figure out what the right number is. So what do we want to do to change 12 to a 1? Well, we've got to divide by 12, right? That means we've got to divide this by 12 as well. Now, 12 doesn't go into 30. We are going to end up with a decimal or a fraction, whichever way you want to look at it. But that's okay, because that's what the question is asking for. So when the left-hand number is going to be a 1, 30 divided by 12. Now, something I like to do when dividing numbers like this is write it as a fraction first. 30 over 12. Because we can then simplify that fraction. If we divide both numbers by 2, for example, it can become 15 over 6. Then we can divide both of those numbers by 3, which becomes 5 over 2. 5 over 2, well, we can leave it like that if we want. 1 to 5 over 2. But that is the same as a 1 to 2.5. So like I said, we don't like decimals or fractions in ratios. But in this type of question, where it's specifically asking for one of the numbers to be a 1, sometimes we have to deal with it. And that's how we do it.